Okay, hello everybody. This is the Metal3 Community meeting. It's Wednesday, 18th of March. Let's get started first with an introduction round as usually. If there's anybody new on the call and who would want to introduce themselves, please, the floor is yours. Okay, well, nobody, I guess that, anyways, it's not a compulsory thing to do. So let's dive in directly into the core of the meeting. And on the agenda, we only have 2 items for now. So it's probably going to be a pretty quick meeting, but if you have anything that you would like to discuss, please add the items directly on the agenda now. You can edit the agenda if you're part of the Metal3 Dev Google group. So, Ferus, let's start with your point then.
Yeah. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So I just had some couple of questions regarding this machine remediation controller. So what is the time frame for the machine remediation controller task in the CapM3 side? And is there any plan for doing something in the Metal3 side? Because I know that there is some ongoing work on machine remediation controller design by Andrew and Denier. And there was a reboot API implementation code that was merged this morning. And then I saw actual enhancement proposal as well for the machine remediation controller. So I was also discussing with Nir, and I get to know that initial implementation of the remediation controller is going to be targeted for the OpenShift CapVM side. And then once it's there, it needs to be somehow backported to the CapM3 Metal3 side. So I was wondering, shall we somehow, like, is there any plan how to do that? Are we going to wait for this to be finished in the OpenShift side and then move both machine health check and machine remediation controller to the Metal3, or is it somehow different or so on? If anyone has any ideas from the CapM3 side.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Nir, and I've been working on this lately. So as far as I understand, there is a big drift between OpenShift CapVM and Metal3 CapVM. So internally it was discussed and we decided to move forward with the OpenShift CapVM current code, and later this might be backported. Though I don't know what's the timeline for this, if any. So is Doug on the call? So I guess that Doug has more context than I do regarding the drift between these two and why it might be complicated or not. Because internally I was discussing this with Doug, and we decided to first implement this in OpenShift CapVM and later to backport the code.
Yeah, because I also don't know, to be honest, how much would be the difference when migrating it or like backporting it from the OpenShift to the Metal3. I don't know if it's better to write from the scratch on the Metal3 side, or if it's better just to wait for the OpenShift side to be finished and then take it from there. So
yeah, so this is a good question, and I believe we will close the details of at least OpenShift implementation. I guess we already have the enhancements, so we will need to see how this progress. And I already have some proof of concept code for machine remediation controller in OpenShift. I guess that we need Doug here to give, since he has more context than I do.
Yeah, so we can follow up with Doug on the details, but I think the main concern is that the OpenShift fork is still stuck on the v1 alpha 1 branch. And so, you know, there is divergence that has taken place since we have the later branches in the upstream repos. So in those cases, you know, the backport is going to be more difficult, and we just need to figure out how to deal that whilst there's this temporary divergence between the OpenShift fork and what's happening upstream.
Mm.
Okay, is there someone else who wants to like chime in? No? Okay. Then Feroz, does that answer your question, or is there something more that needs to be discussed?
Yeah, I think it's okay, but anyway, I think we'll get more info in the open PR which Nir opened this morning regard on this enhancement proposal. So I think we'll get all answers in there as well. So it should be fine now.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, then let's move on to the next next item. I'm sorry, I just messed up a bit the presentation of the agenda, but I will fix that afterwards, like once the meeting is over. So the next item is mine. There is this metadata design proposal that I created on the Metal3 docs repository. I would like to ask for a review for this one, because that's something that we need quite fast, at least on the Ericsson side. So if it would be possible to get some comments and some review on this before, like hopefully, like let's say, like if we put a lazy consensus of 1 week on that, so that like if there's no specific comments on this, then we'll start like merging the implementation after a week. That would be great. Okay. Sorry. Let's. Then Digambar, you had a point also.
Yeah. So we have updated a PR from our site, PR 16, the PR, which is regarding the hardware classification control of PRD. So I request that can you guys just go and review it. So it will be good. We can have a fast review this week so that we can test you guys. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Then before going to the issue triage, maybe we should discuss about those specific meetings, because as you might have seen, like Stefan has sent an email on the mailing list. So we don't have that many issues anymore that are open and that would need triage process that would happen like every other week with a full hour spent on this. So the proposal would be to remove this triage meeting and to add it at the end of the normal Metal3 community meetings. So like that we would, for example, do some issue triage right now.
Okay.
After this discussion. On top of this, there was the question that because we now have the time slot of the triage that is available, should we change the frequency of those calls that we are having? Like, should it be like every week, or should it remain every other week? So I would highly recommend that you would like answer like in the thread if you want to like modify however it is going. Now by default, we're probably going to keep this like every other week meeting for Metal3 community meeting, and we just don't have any other meeting on the other week.
I'm fine with this proposal because good to have every every week meeting, include everything in this internal meeting.
Yeah. I guess the interesting question would be like, would there be someone who would not be fine with the with the proposal?
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
So Mel, I didn't get that email from Stefan. How do I get on the mailing list?
Okay, yeah, I can quickly show you. There's the I think it's on groups.google.com is the URL. Like if you want to join the Metal3 Dev mailing list, you can just look there for the Metal3 Dev,
Thank you.
and then just join. Ask to join this one. All our let's say more formal communications happen on this list, and on top of this, if you are part of this member of this group, then you can have an edit access on this document so that you can add topics on the agenda. And that's actually a good point. I will add something on this after. So if there's no further comments or further questions, like related to this topic or any other, before we could move to the issue triage. But like, is there any question or anything before that? No. Okay. Let's then go directly to the triage. Yeah, I just need to pull the Okay, let's start with the new issues. Two new issues, both of them created by myself, actually. So the first one, we have been seeing recently, not only recently, over the couple of last weeks, that our Jenkins CI fails regularly because the Minikube cluster somehow goes away, it gets unreachable. So we would like to add an alternative to Minikube so that we could deploy a kind cluster where BMO, CAPI, and CAPM3 would be deployed without Ironic. And then Ironic would be deployed outside of the cluster. So that's a bit of a revert, considering what has been done before, that was actually moving Ironic from outside the cluster to inside the cluster. But we think it would really help on the CI side, and it would be only, obviously, it would be only for the CI, right? We would have a switch to decide whether we deploy with Minikube or with kind, for example. So probably this is a feature request, and I don't know for the priority, what we should put there. Probably important soon. Well, I take that nobody's reacting, so this is agreed on.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, anything impacting CI has got to be a high priority, right?
Well, it's I don't think it's urgent, in the matter that if that happens, you just retrigger and it passes, right? It just kind of takes a bit more resources than expected, and it takes a bit more time because you need to retrigger. But it's not completely blocking the CI. But I can obviously put it to. Well, the other one is critical urgent. Do you think that would fit better then?
No, I think important soon is fine. As you say, it's not actually blocking CI, but the false negatives are obviously a waste of resources, and it slows down the merge queue as well. So sounds like a good optimization. It's a shame that we have to support 2 alternative methods in Metal3 devenv. It's kind of expanding the test matrix a bit, but I guess we can add the support and then decide later if it makes sense to just have the one approach, so everyone's testing the same as CI.
So does this mean that there will be a daemon outside for Ionic to connect serving API like
so
we have in the Gopher Cloud?
yeah, so basically this just means that Ironic that was before deployed as part of bare metal operator will not be deployed in the cluster anymore, and we are just spawning a couple of containers on the host. It's in terms of like impact on BMO, it just means that we're going to change the address of Ironic in the config map so that bare metal operator will then talk with the Ironic that is outside of the cluster instead of the one that is deployed within the same pod.
I see. Oh, makes sense. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So functionally, it should not have any impact on the on Metal3 devenv. It's just that we went with like bringing Ironic inside the cluster to make it like resemble how it would be deployed in a real environment. But
so the only thing I see is your inside and outside cluster is the what you call the parameters that will be supplied. Instead of inside, it will be outside.
Yeah, exactly.
For the Ionic. Yeah, got it.
That would be the only difference. That and the fact that we would not be running Minikube anymore. We would be running Kind. So basically, it's moving from a virtual machine running the Kubernetes cluster to a container running the Kubernetes cluster.
Yeah.
I see.
But
thanks.
This is only for CI change, or
well, if we implement it for the CI, oh sorry, excuse me.
Go ahead.
If we implement it for the CI, it means that it will be part of the Metal3 devenv scripts, right? There will be a flag to choose whether you go with Minikube or with Kind, meaning that if you yourself want to deploy a Metal3 devenv using Kind, then you could do it, obviously.
Okay, that will be great, because currently we are trying to achieve real hardware with our Dell servers. So if we are going with Kind, then it will be helpful for us.
Okay. We might have someone in our team that would be a bit, that would take this later, but less. I'm just going to leave it like this right now, so that to see. Let's assign it to whoever starts working on this after a while. Then the other issue is actually fixed already. So I'm just going to close it, because basically there was a bit of change done on the Metal3 project infra this week, in the way that all PRs now are tested after being merged onto the target branch of the PR. So we are not anymore just testing the source branch of the PR. We are testing the PR as if it was already merged into the target. This improves things in terms of like making the CI a bit more reliable, because we won't have anymore a problem where the author of the PR needs to rebase before being able to pass the test, because something has been introduced in master, for example. And also it's closer to what will be the actual output of the PR, like it's better to test this. So that was suggested like recently by Steve, and so I implemented it beginning of this week. So we can just close this issue.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. I did have one question actually. If the author of the patch needs to rebase because there's a conflict, are we just going to see CI fail? Or,
exactly. So if you have a conflict in the merge, then it directly fails. But it also means that if you have a conflict, it's going to fail in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably fine. It might be nice if we could make CI apply a label to make it clear that the PR needs a rebase. But yeah, as soon as you look at the output from the job, it should be pretty clear anyway.
Yes, because it's going to fail on the git merge. Okay, then that was all in terms of new issues. Let's review the two others, the awaiting evidence and the stale issues afterwards. So there's only one here. That is this operator SDK higher than 0.12 is breaking this generate open API. Okay, there's still nothing from the author right now, so let's keep it there for now. And then about the stale issues, there doesn't seem to be anything more than there was already last time we did the triage. So a really important thing is like if you have an issue that is now like tagged with this lifecycle stale, and you see that this issue needs to stay open and needs to be tackled, please like put the remove the lifecycle stale label. That will give you like another 90 days on the PR. Sorry, on the issue. Okay, so that's it for the issue triage. If we come back to the agenda, is there still like no additional topic for discussion or no other question?
Noticing on the stale issues that there's a lot of them beyond 90 days. So when did the 90 days start? Last week?
Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
I saw on the stale issues, there's a lot of them there, like April 30, 2019 by Russell Libb, that's way beyond 90 days. So when did their 90-day clock start?
Oh, the thing is that this job was added only like 1 or 2 weeks ago, so
Okay.
it only puts it like 1 or 2 weeks ago. But from the day this lifecycle stale label is applied, then you have 30 days before the issue will be automatically closed.
Okay, that's
so,
what I was asking.
Yeah, okay. So all of those will obviously like disappear in maybe like 20 days or something. They will get closed. Okay. Well, then, if there's no further question, I guess we can just stop the meeting here. So thank you for joining.
Well, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.